Hey guys, whoo, wow, looks like we got a good crowd on there today. Thank y'all for joining us. hey, hey Mark, how you doing? Looks like you're the first one in there. Jeff, Bob, Patty. I'm so glad you were able to get on here. Phyllis. Yeah, sorry, Jeff, I missed your podcast the other night. It looked pretty good too. I'm gonna have to try to catch it. Let's see who else we got. Phyllis, Sandra, good to see y'all. All right. Let's see, make sure I didn't miss anyone. Okay, now this evening, we've got a couple great guests with us. I'm so glad that I was able to get them on. And probably quite a few of you have already met them. It's Pat and Joe. I met them down at Land Between the Lakes. Okay, Patty, you totally missed last week's podcast. You kicked back to watch TV and you fell asleep till 1 o'clock. Now, that sounds like me. That's what I do. I was watching something really good on YouTube last night, fell asleep. Hillary, good to see you. But let's see, let's go over a little bit of news. I don't know, I had a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about. Didn't write it down, which is what I need to do. I usually do, didn't do it tonight. And so the only thing that I honestly can remember, let me think, what else is going on? There's a bunch of festivals that they're scheduling for next year, which is great. And they're contacting me and getting things scheduled for next year. So my calendar is already getting filled, not filled up, which is good because I did that for a couple years, just it totally exhausted myself, and that's no good, and I'm not doing that again. But as next year comes on, I'll start making announcements, and I'll make a list in the group about all the festivals and their locations and their dates for you guys, so you can come. And let's see, what else? What else do we have here? Today, there were hearings in Congress for UFO disclosures. And I wanted so badly to catch at least some of it, but I got busy, and the channel that I wanted to watch them on went kerblooey. So wasn't able to watch it. I guess the UFOs beamed down and sent some interference. Oh, you watched it, Phyllis? How was it? Anything major? Yeah, there was an election, absolutely. Yep, there was an election last week. And I don't know if you can see the ball caps behind me right there. You can see who I voted for. And quite happy about that. And, all the same old. Aw. Well, hopefully the disclosures actually come to something. I know that Trump said that as soon as he gets in, or soon after he gets in, he's going to be releasing the JFK files and the UFO files. And most likely they still will need to redact some things because I don't see them putting everything out. Because from what I've heard, hey Patrick, good to see you. From what I've heard with the UFO files, there are things in there that are just, I wouldn't say beyond human comprehension, which probably is anyways, but there are things that are just too horrible for humans, for most humans to be able to handle. And so I truly don't see them releasing everything. And most likely it'd be the same about Bigfoot, because I hear nothing about them talking about releasing any information on Bigfoot, which is fine with me. You know, I don't, I prefer if they just keep Bigfoot in the quiet realm, because there's a lot of native myths, stories, you know, can't say myths really, stories, you know, about them, that whenever the earth learns everything about them, whenever they are finally disclosed to the people of earth, that's when the end of the world comes. And you know, that's what the native stories are, you know, on the Bigfoot. So I kind of prefer that they don't disclose Bigfoot. Okay, and Mark, UFO hearings, U.S. conducted secret crash retrievals for alien aircrafts, former DOD official says. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was watching some interviews on that, on, what is it, the Benny Johnson podcast on YouTube and Next News Network, both of those I follow on YouTube. You know, there's a lot of information on there. Yet, Jeff, why don't you guys advertise your podcast on my group, okay? You know, that way it'll remind me also that you're on. And I have no idea why I don't get the notifications, you know, for your show whenever it comes on, because I should. I'm going to have to check the settings again on there to make sure that I've got the little check mark on there for notifications. Yeah, Jeff, advertise, you know, wherever you can, get the exposure you guys need and deserve. Is Tulsi over the Men in Black? Apparently so. I really like Tulsi. I'm so glad, you know, that she's in there now. Hey, Joe. Yeah, I can't remember. They did bring her in, and I can't remember what position they put her in. But tell you what, guys, since Joe is in here chatting anyways, I'm going to bring Pat and Joe on. Again, I met them in Land Between the Lakes a couple years ago, and they're a fantastic couple. I love them both. They, you know, whenever they go to Land Between the Lakes, at the very least, they park their camper at the same spot, and they've gotten so many interactions in that certain area. And where I park, and the girl who comes, and Tara, who comes along with me, where she was camped, you know, there's always activity. You know, they seem to pass down through Tara's campsite in particular, where she was, and go on down to where Pat and Joe camp. But they not only go there to land between the lakes, they have an active area in Louisiana where they live. They go to Alabama and Ohio. And tell you what, I'm just going to bring them on and they can tell you all about where they've been, where their research, their findings. And yes, Diane, good to see you. Yep, Diane, you met them at LBL. That's right. All right. I'm going to bring Pat and Joe on. There we are.
Hey, Mary, good to see you again.
How you doing, Mary?
Good to see you. Here, let's see. Well, no, I don't like that one. No, let's see. We'll go back to that one.
It was too close.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I was just too
I'm going.
Woo. All right. Yeah, I think most everyone, a lot of people on here already know you guys. And but you guys can talk about what you do, where you go to, what you found and seen and experienced.
Okay. Joe, you want to start?
Yeah, the last time we were out here, it's been a little while back, and we have to travel either 75 miles north and about 50 miles south to go to any big city. And we have lots of national forests around us. So we stopped up at a place called Logie Bayou. It's a WMA. And we get there and it's we'd made our trip and we got our stuff and we on the way back home and it's in nighttime, say 8 o'clock at night or something like that. So we put up into this national forest. It's really, they took a big old swamp bottom that kept flooding on people that owned it, and then the government bought it because every time the river, Red River would back up, it would take that land and it flooded it all. So the government made a national preserve out of it, or WMA or whatever. So we were out there, and we didn't have any per se Bigfoot or cryptid anything go on that night, but it was the first time that we got to see Starlink.
Yes.
So I guess that is a paranormal when you don't know what Starlink is and it comes over your vehicle in the middle of the night. And we have a ball getting out, going different places, and that was the first time we'd been there, or second time, maybe first time, I ain't sure. But it was a really hot spot for boogers and all. But Miss Pat got us out of a jam with the wildlife and fisheries was down there scoping around, and of course it's hard to boogers see eye shine without a light, and they don't like that. The wildlife fisheries don't like you shine a light at night off any kind of road, especially in national forest. So she got us out of a jam on that deal. But we go out around 2 or 3 national forests around here, and we have a good time doing it. Get out and about, gives us something to do. You want to tell them anything about that little trip?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, what it was is it was like a bottom right there, and it was like a shelf that we were driving upon, and you know, I was shining the light, just trying to get familiar with the area and stuff there. I didn't know there was a wildlife and fisheries man hiding around the corner, and he stopped us. And he wanted to know what we were doing and different things like that. And I finally looked at him and said, "You want to know what we're doing?" He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "We're looking for boogers." We're hunting boogers.
I pointed to my
goes,
truck. I have a booger on the back of my truck.
Yep.
Yeah. And he goes, "Okay." And it got to talking to him and stuff. And he said, "Okay, carry on." And he left us alone. We got out of that one real quick because we were spotlighting. And I said, "Oh, no.
He knew we was, but he understand we wasn't no threat to anything besides us running off the road or something.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, that's just the way it is. You get out places you never been. You don't know if you're getting in somebody's drop area for trouble or they have a deal for poaching or something around there till you get there and
Right.
find out that they're standing guard over the place in the middle of the night. It was on a Sunday, I think a Sunday night we was in there of all
Right.
nights.
Right.
It was hard to
Right.
believe that guy. It had a bunch of house places left on that place that they kept their barn, like a tractor barn and all. He must have been hiding up in all that mess.
Right. Right.
But Miss Pat got us out of it with her quick
Right.
thinking.
Right. No, he thought we were crazy and he left. He left. But
Yeah.
we do go a lot of places around there, out in the national forest, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of reports out there. There was a report not long ago that you had seen, Mary, where the kids had to be escorted out.
Right.
That's where
on
we
our
go.
the area we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even with Barry Browning and them we've been over there boogering at night too. When we camp over that way, we've been on that side of the Red River over there, and they got rolling piney woods over there, and they got some of our better spots is over in that way as far as what we've made contact with.
Yeah. Hardened criminals. Yes. Basically, I
That's
thought we were
right.
going to jail. We were close. We were close to
Well, we
going
could
to
have told
jail
them we
that
was on
night.
Lover's Leap over there. I mean, that could have been true.
Two old people. Two old people.
I think after she said something about Bigfoot, or I said, "Do you something?" Well, I asked him, I said, "You got any reports of anything like that around here or something?" He was pretty much trying to get out of there, get away from us pretty quick. He thought we
Yeah.
was crazy or something.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. We just
Wow.
but
started talking
it's just
crazy.
all in good fun. We got, we was on the way up there, on the way home, and I said, "Hey, let's stop by there and go check that out."
Yeah.
And that's what we do, sometimes. And
Do you see any orbs there?
No. I've
no,
never seen an orb, Corky. Never. I would love to.
I got some spots on my game cameras and all, but I can't tell you what it is. I just seen, white looking spots on the game camera every now and then. But that particular
No.
night, it's the only time I seen Starlink. I didn't even know nothing about it. She knew what it was. I didn't, and it came floating kind of over the vehicle, and it passed over once we stopped to get out to look at it, and it was gone just pretty
Yeah.
quick.
It's pretty
Yes.
cool to see.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It really is.
It's
Yeah,
like
It
a
really is.
it's
I've
almost
seen it
like
a couple times.
a worm or something going across,
Yeah.
the way it
Mhm.
does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. You want to talk about Falk? Okay, Falk, Arkansas. We do go up there and camp occasionally. Um, Joe and I were on a chat. We had become friends for like, I don't know, about a year. And so we all decided to meet up with this channel at Falk, Arkansas. And Joe came down, and he doesn't live too far from there. I drove from Ohio with a young lady from Pennsylvania and got there, and it was mainly women camping. And yes, oh yes. And it was at Alex Smith Park. People should all go there. They've really done a lot with the park. And this is where the Falk Monster was at, and we know Crabtree. He played the
We were
monster
there
in the movie.
at the same time he was. No, that it wasn't that same time that time because we went on a separate trip that time. But we've been there
Right.
before 2 or 3 times. They were there and associated.
Sure.
When Keith had his crew there and all.
Yes. And what we did is the night before Joe came, um, we went down with the channel, and she was D. Sims' Lady in the Woods, and there were several. There's probably about 7 or 8 of us women, and it was hot. It was like 107 during the day. It was horrible.
No.
And so, anyways, what we would do is she said, everybody get in their tents. We left some of us left our windows open. We could talk back and forth to one another. I remember it being a full moon that week too, those few days. And we could stay up all night and just chat back and forth between our tents.
Mm-hmm.
And and I laid down, and it kind of got quiet, but I left all my windows open where I could see things, and
Yeah.
we could see the moon shining down on us, and
Hmm.
it was pretty bright. And I remember hearing, and a little bit later, you could hear something running in between the tents, just and it was fast, and you could see the shadow, and it was like super fast. I was amazed on the speed,
Hmm.
what was running in between the tents, and then and I remember there was a camper right next to us with one of the ladies in it. She had some things going on, like jiggling of the door, some
Oh,
things like that. Some things like that. Well, what I had happen was it was running past as fast as they could and would push down on the tent. And about the third, and then the next time would come through, would push down on the tent a little bit harder. The next time it was pushed down, it was pushed down like at my face. And I hollered and I go, "Hey." And she said, "What's the matter, Pat?" And I said, "They're pushing down on my tent." And I kind of panicked a little bit.
yeah.
And she said, "Something's pushing down on my tent." She said, "Get out of your tent right now." Because I was kind of a little unnerved. It was my first time out. I had left Ohio. I'm going to go see the world. I'm going to go do my thing. I had been a widow for like a year, and I'm going to go and find out what everything's all about. I'm going to just go everywhere. I'm going to just do my thing. I
Hmm.
don't have anybody to answer to. My kids are grown. I'm going to go find these answers that I've always wanted to know. Well, she got me out of the tent, and she says, "Come out of your tent now." So I went out of my tent, and I remember there's a little ditch right there, and I could see eyes. You could see eyes down in that ditch,
Oh,
back in the bushes and things like that. She said, "Tell him, Pat, tell him to stop it. Tell him not to do this anymore."
yeah.
She said, "You tell him." She walked me to that edge right there, and I could see all these little eyes. And I told him, "You stop it right now." And I said,
Hmm.
"You're scaring me. You can come through here, but please don't push down on the tent."
Yeah.
And yeah, I was unnerved, and I was comfortable with that. And the rest of the night, it was quiet.
Good.
You could hear the walking,
Yeah.
but it was relatively quiet.
Yeah, I found that too. If you talk to them stern, yeah,
Yes,
sometimes they'll listen to you. It
right,
depends on them, but yeah,
right.
you have to tell them.
Yes,
That's
yes,
don't do that.
right, definitely. And I have used that a few times, and
Yeah,
it does work with
use
women
that mom
anyway.
voice, that
Yes, the
stern
mom
mom
voice,
voice.
and
Oh yeah,
it does work. It's
yeah.
worked for me.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then the next day, Joe came, and Joe put his tent right next to me, and another lady had come, and she hadn't brought a tent. She's good friends from Louisiana too, and she
Hmm.
stayed in the tent there with Joe. She didn't bring anything, and she had left the light on, and you could see into the tent, the light of the tent. Well, I'm sitting there that night. It's a full moon. Moon's shining right down. We had been conversating back and forth a little bit, and it kind of got quiet. All of a sudden, I see something. I'm just sitting there looking out the window, and I see something approaching the tent, Joe's tent. And it was crawling up the side along next to D. Sim's tent. They
Oh,
could hear it over there.
oh,
And I could see from the chest up, it was more of a silhouette, but it was only, how far away do you think, Joe? Maybe 15 feet,
Yeah, something
15
like
feet
that.
away. It was relatively close.
yeah.
And Joe was sleeping right there in that corner. You could hear him snoring. And
Hmm.
he played the sleeping camper that night. And I remember it reaching out. I could see the side of it, and I can remember the silhouette. and it was reaching out to touch the tent. I could see the hair hanging off the arms. It wasn't real big. I could see the head. It was a conical shape head.
Mm-hmm.
And they say over there at Falk that they're really, really ugly. That's what they say.
Really? Oh, okay.
Reports have said that yes.
We didn't find out they were ugly to us. Though.
Yeah, well, not ugly, but a little bit different than what the other ones see. That
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about that, but it reached out to touch the tent,
Wow.
and I couldn't help myself. I had to say something. And so I'm just trying to use my sweet voice. I had worked with horses for
Mm-hmm.
many, many years. And so I'm going to talk to them. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't scared.
Right.
I was excited.
Well,
And I remember saying, yeah, I wanted to pet it. That's what he always says. And I remember saying, well, come here. I go, hello there. Come here. I want to see you. And it kind of stopped. And it hesitated, and it just like froze there for a second. And then I seen it slowly back out, and I go, oh, darn, I ran it off, but I saw it. I saw it.
Oh,
And
cool.
yes, and my first time out, I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I go, they are real.
Yeah.
I can't, that they really, really are real. And then a couple minutes later, I seen it reach out again. And it crawled back up and reached out, and it was touching the tent, and I did it again. Of course, I'm going, hello, how are you? Come over here. I want to see you. And it backed out, and that was the end of that.
Oh.
But I had an experience. It's the only one that I have actually seen.
Really?
The other ones have been relatively close.
Uh-huh.
And then Joe and I started dating. After that, we had been friends for like a year, and basically, he's my partner in crime.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of times I live in Louisiana, but I do go back and forth. And you want to tell them about Casacci when we go out there, Joe?
Yeah, okay, after Falk, she had that experience, and I really didn't. I was there, but didn't really get to see anything because I was, like I say, I was asleep. Plus, the lady had brought a lantern inside instead of leaving it on outside. She claimed she couldn't turn it off, and she brought it inside the tent, so therefore you couldn't see any images. If it had been on the outside, I could have seen shadows and stuff possible if I'd have been up to see them. But anyway, we did that, and that was a deal. So we, a little bit later on, I don't know how long it was, we started venturing out down where I do a lot of turkey hunting and stuff. Did for years. I do less now than I did, and I knew the woods fairly well. It had different situations where I got whistled at, mostly just whistled at, just single whistles and stuff, and had stuff slip up on me or sound like when it walks up on you and stuff. And I didn't ever see it. I froze and not moved, but I didn't really never see it. But anyway, we went on down to 2 or 3 spots that looked promising that we would go out in the middle of the night in some swampy spots. If it was raining, and it'd be stay full of water. And we both get out of the truck in the middle of this swamp. The road cuts right down through the middle of it. So we get out. About the only place you walk is at that time it was blacktop. They had since made gravel road out of it, but the only place you could walk through this swamp is like down this road. You'd hardly have any little off roads or anything that didn't stay flooded. So we was walking down that road with lights out, middle of the night, and me and her split up from the truck. She goes up a little ways by the truck one way, and I go the other way. We both have audio stuff going on, but it's not typical audio stuff like, it's like, hell, I don't know. It's like weird ultrasound like sounds that, like a juvie trying to do a ultrasound or something. I don't know how to explain it. It was close to Pat was hearing it really well. I heard something else, and then we had tree knocks in there. We both was there with tree knocks happened. I was in there hunting, and I had some weird stuff happen to me at a different time. But several times we had weird stuff go on around there. And not far from that, it was a church and a graveyard and all that on the edge of that swamp on around the way. And we had a little bit of stuff going over there over the years before we were together. That I couldn't I couldn't answer. No, it was just like some weird stuff would go on around that church. But churches are known for that. And then we got to going all over really. And we had episodes where I'd bring out a coyote a mouth call, and I would call like a coyote, at least try to. And then we had Booger come back right on top of us, or the audio call right back on top of us at one spot we was at. I can't remember what all else we had. We had different things go out. We brought a couple with us to the woods on a Bigfoot outing,
Mhm.
and as soon as we get out the truck, it's right before dark. We went to the end of this road, and as soon as we're getting out the truck, we hear wood knock, and it just had different good things happen. We hadn't had no really bad experiences, but the night that we had our trailer out there, we hadn't long been had it, and we were camping out in our RV, and we had the trailer rock, and that was a whole nother experience that me and her, we always debate on how it story goes, but at the long of it, it rocked the trailer several times, and it got to the point at one point that if it would made much more, if it would broke on the end, it was going to get shot right there at the door of our bedroom in that trailer. That's how hard it was hitting the trailer and stuff.
Wow.
And again, she used that mother voice and eventually hollered at it and got it to shut down from rocking the trailer and all. And then we had all kind of stuff, over a period of time happening. But that night was a special night for us. Contact. We've had other places we had mouth pops and had contact with them. And we was really lucky a couple summers ago had a group that stayed right around a pond area we'd go to, and just about every time we went, we'd have some kind of contact with them. And they wouldn't belligerent or nothing. They could have been. They could have done all kind of stuff, but they didn't. And but they let us know they were around most days. About the only thing. At one time, one evening we was fishing right at dark, and one throwed a rock and pretty good sized stone in the pond right there about where I was at. I just moved from that spot, and it throwed it. He didn't try to hit me or nothing, but it was alarming though.
Yeah.
We've had really good audio luck in that area, and that was our little place till they burned it out. And they burnt both the places we had. The trailer got rocked, they burned it out. The other place around the pond, they burned it out too. And I don't know if it's if it's just luck of the draw or if somebody knew something. I don't know. But they burned it to the ground as far as the forest burns and stuff like they normally do.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that down around home, around here. Cut the foliage and stuff, but the ground fuel back and all.
Yeah.
And they burnt these places out. You couldn't do anything. I mean, whatever was there had to get out of
Right. Right. There, now the swamp where he was talking about where we heard the noises, we got out of the truck, and he walked down several feet away from me in the dark, pitch black. Like I said, we're swamp on both sides of us. And I hear a sound in front of me. It's only like about 10 feet away. And it sounded like, they call it a bull roar, and it was that Crocodile Dundee sound. I have asked several times people if they'd ever heard of it, and in the beginning, and a lot of people said no, but they hadn't heard of anything like that. But as time has gone on, there has several people that have brought this up, and I find that very interesting. I heard it last night on Miss B's channel, and it was in front of me, And I said, Joe said, I have something in front of me. And I said, I have something in front of me. And it went, whoa, 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 whoa. And I shined the flashlight on. I couldn't see anything. It happened about 5 different times. I didn't feel sick or anything like that, but
Mm,
it was
you heard that. You heard that sound. That
yes, yes. It's the only time I've ever heard it. I haven't heard it since.
yeah.
But I
Kumbo
kept
talked about it, and this lady last night talked about it.
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, I remember Kumbo talking about that sound.
yes,
That's probably a juvie practicing their
right.
infrasound.
No,
Right, and they could actually be behind you or
Yeah.
whatever. It
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be in front of you. It's projecting.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it was in front of me. There was no tree movement, the wind wasn't blowing or anything like that in the top of the trees or anything like that. I spent a long time, I spent a couple years trying to debunk that until all of a sudden people are talking about this. So that kind of answers my question now. I'm getting, as years go by, the questions I have, I seem to be getting answers,
Hmm.
a lot of answers.
Yeah.
And when we go out into the forest and things like that, when we can't, we decided to get a camper. And what Joe's talking about the night that we had the trailer rocked, Joe was in bed and he put a podcast on. Now mind you, we're running the generator as well because it's hot. And you're lucky to see a car once a day out there.
Yeah.
That's how big the forest is. And we're way back in the campground at the very, very back, the edge of the woods. And I leave the kitchen window open a lot of times.
Hmm.
And regardless if the air is running or not, that way I could maybe even hear something because I can tell you this, that it's hard to hear in the camper.
Yeah.
Very hard,
Yeah.
very hard.
Especially if the generator's going too.
Yeah, and I got a generator going as well. But I do have we do have a generator that isn't as loud. We have bought one since that's relatively quiet.
Oh, okay.
But we were running I think we were running the big generator. And I told Joe, I said, hey, and we're getting ready for bed. And I was getting ready to get in bed. And I said, Joe, I hear something out there. I hadn't even gotten in bed yet.
yeah, she had said that multiple times, I guess.
Yeah. I said, there's something out there.
You ain't hearing nothing.
I hear movement. And it was on Joe's side. And that's the side where the door is at. And I kept hearing walking or movement, heavy walking or movement or something up against the camper. I couldn't figure out what it was, but I knew there was movement out there. And he said, well, get in bed here. And so we were a little, it alerted us. Joe was alerted there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you could hear it coming back. It had come back and it hit by the kitchen. And it hadn't hit by Joe's side of the bed yet. And Joe beat on the wall.
Oh,
You can hear the movement. Whatever it does went to the door or something. And then it headed back. And Joe beat on the wall. All of a sudden, the trailer is doing this.
uh-huh.
And as all you could do is just sit there. I mean, it happened so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, we're just you're in shock.
We're
Yeah.
in denial too. We're trying to
Yeah.
debunk it being that we left the awning out and the wind came up, or
Yeah.
some kind of something. So I go get up and I go roll the awning in.
Yep.
Right.
And we turned the light on the awning light. We turned it on so it'd stay lit out there where you could see out.
But yeah, I
I don't know if
hollered. I hollered at it. I hollered at it that it all of a
I don't know if
sudden
it was that trip or another trip, but we got the bed's on the tongue of it. The bathroom's in the back. When I go to the restroom area back there, I can hear something running off by the ladder. It didn't come off the trailer, but it sounds like it ran between my truck and the trailer running off.
Ah.
Yeah,
You could actually hear it running. I can't hear that good, so it had to be making some pretty good noise
Yeah.
for me to hear it. And it ran off And I'm looking around out the windows and stuff. I'm trying to see if there's anybody laughing or a car come by and trying to prank us or something. I'm trying to debunk this the whole time because we hadn't had that experience before.
Yeah.
We knew what it could be, and that's what we were saying.
Right.
Well, it's in boogers, and it might be them juveniles acting the fool. So
Yeah.
when she hollered at them, it proved one thing that they would
Shut
listen
down.
to
Boom.
somebody.
Okay. I was going
Voice and
to ask
all.
you.
Yes,
We-
it shut down instantly.
It
Instantly shut down.
quieted down. Now she claims she could keep hearing them moving, but not as bad.
Yeah.
Right.
And we did that. So that happened. Went to bed at 10. By between 12 and 1, the generator runs out of fuel.
We got to go outside.
So we got to go outside. So I got a pistol by the bed. So I handed her a pistol. It's a Judge pistol. I got the light, handed that to her. The pistol, I handed that to her. And then we got up. I had to go get in the back of the truck, I think, get the fuel can. And I'm carrying the fuel. I'm going to do all the lifting and filling the thing up, restarting and all that. She's going to be the watch. And the only thing I did that some people would have done or didn't do, when I started going out, I took my car fob and I started the truck up.
Yes.
And it came on, lights come on the truck and all that. I said, give something the time to get the hell out of there if it was something out there.
Yeah.
And we got out there and
Right.
fueled it all up, and it fired right back up. We went back inside, the truck died. And now she said she heard stuff the rest of the night. I don't know if we did. I know the night before we had audio out inside the bay of the camper, up underneath the bed. It's a bay there, and something coming in through the rock, and it bounced like beep, beep, little pea gravel right in front of that microphone. Walked up there and just dropped it, and you could hear it going beep, beep. And it didn't go skipping across like they threw it from a distance. They walked right up there to it and done whatever it was.
Right. It was
The
in the
gravel
middle
was
of
still
it.
in there the next day because I found it.
Yeah. More ornery. They're ornery suckers.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is I did.
But I
What's
think
really-
they just get. We didn't know, but the week before, or say like we went out there Monday, Tuesday, just say I don't know if that's the right days, but the Friday, Saturday, Sunday week before, they had a group had rented the place, and they had whatever they were doing. They had leftover food all out there. There'd been a bunch of people there, so whatever was around there, they pulled them right on up there. You know what I'm saying? They made all that racket, and if they wasn't already there, they come from afar.
Oh,
And then there we are out there in the back of the damn thing all by ourselves. Nobody's there. So I went on back to the forest back, past the vaulted toilet, if we could get.
Yeah.
That's where we parked. Ma and Pa back there in the back.
That's
what we did.
Whenever I go camping, that's where I usually, as far back as I can get away from everybody else.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
we wasn't touching the woods.
Yeah.
But we was close enough back there that it wouldn't but a rock, just barely throw a rock, you could hit the woods.
Right.
No lights. It's just a vaulted commode is all it's got. And you can tell your listeners, we have those world famous commode setups in the South. I don't know about up north, but anyway, that's where all our blue water is when you look for blue water.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Yeah.
we was by ourselves. I didn't see a car. I didn't see anybody.
Now,
we got them.
The next morning, did you find any footprints?
No,
No, you couldn't.
I was telling you about
couldn't.
all those people were there, and they had the ground chewed up around there. And I said, I got them. I said, it's May.
Yeah.
The yellow pollen's all over everything. Really deep. We're gonna as soon as we get home, we're finna CSI this buddy. I'm gonna get out there at dark 30. I'm gonna get my flashlight out. We're gonna run the edges of the we're gonna find it. Whatever they touch, we're gonna find it. And she found one spot up underneath the awning. I mean, the slide out. It was fingerprints underneath there.
Okay.
And one other spot we found out on the steps in the arm of the like the handrail to get up in the camper. I couldn't tell about that, and they could have grabbed that or hit that, and that could have made a difference or stomped on it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell the pollen on that. But anywhere on the side of that camper, it was really smooth. There's a layer of pollen on it. It was all clean, best I could tell. The only thing I didn't do is get on my back and take a creeper and go up underneath the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And it might have been my best spot to look, but I didn't.
Probably, yeah.
Right. Well, we have washed the camper since then, and I think those prints are still there. But we also, where the slide out is, I also there it looked like hair um along that is swept all across there. The pollen was really, really super heavy
I just
during
knew
that
we had
time.
whatever it was. We was gonna find some good prints, and we was
Mm-hmm.
gonna be setting in high cotton, but I didn't find what I thought I'd find.
No.
Right. The only thing I was concerned about is them climbing on top of the camper.
Or tearing something up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, and Joe, he knows that's my golden rule now, is we do not leave the storage compartment open because it's
Hmm.
underneath the bed.
He thought
So
they
Yeah.
you
was
can
gonna come up
climb up
under
in
there and
there.
grab her and suck her back down
No,
through there.
yes, I'm not going to bed. I'm not going to sleep if those compartments are not
Oh
closed and
Lord.
locked.
I don't blame you one single bit.
She's
No,
been
I'm
watching
not
too
I'm not
many
having
movies.
none of
That's
that.
what it was. She just thought that sucker to reach up to there and just pull her down and be gone.
But I hollered at him that night, and whatever
Mhm.
it is stopped instantly. I
Yeah.
used the serious mother's voice that night. I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know what else to do.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Whenever they're rocking you, you either wait them out, or else you holler at them.
It
And
She
worked.
done the
It
hollering. It
worked.
worked too. I mean,
yeah,
it's like they knew we knew they was there at that point. Whatever the hell it was, shut it down to just
yeah.
a
Well,
very
you
little
banged
bit of
on the
nothing
wall,
after
so
that point.
you
No,
banged on the wall, so of course they knew you were there.
yeah, instantly. Yeah, whatever it was, it shook them up. So it was like it was playtime. But
Yeah.
that did work. It's worked for us. It's worked for me twice.
It
Put
may
it
not be
that way.
every time, but it did work that time. And you mentioned it happened before. She used it to somewhat up at
Yeah.
Falk.
Yeah.
And I often, when we're boogering, I stay talking to them. If we're all by ourselves, and ain't a bunch of people, I'll talk to
Yeah. Yeah.
them.
I do.
I think a lot
I
of that.
do now.
I think a lot of that reason why I mean, you're not. You can put out a recorder and they'll go right to it like they was there to help you put it out.
Yeah.
They're watching you, even though it might be some kind of little something coming off of it. But I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm just talking about an audio recorder. They'll be all over.
Hmm.
Just doing whatever to it. They just like they're mischief. There's a lot of mischief in them younger ones anyway.
Yeah. Okay. We have a question from
I see that.
Maga R Degenerates. Uh, Sorry, I don't care for your name, but serious question. If they come and make contact to let people know they are there, why not show themselves? Why not just stay hid?
I've been pretty close, and it seems to be
I
getting closer and closer, but I can't answer that.
I think it's more of a dare thing by the younger ones,
Yeah.
and I think they're not really. They just doing things out of being, as Dan Ricky said, being little thugs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they just want to go. One tell the other one, well, bet you won't go touch that, do so and so, and they go do it.
Exactly.
They
That's
could,
been
they
my
could, they could
experience.
in your world if they're as vicious and stuff as what people
Yeah.
has had happen to them.
Oh, yeah.
They could very well in your world just seeing, and they can be docile, and we had the audio, the audio. We heard it as well as we had it recorded, and they could have been roars instead of just little mouth pops and stuff. But it was mouth pops, and
Yeah.
we're getting a truck, we're driving off. We got it on audio driving off, and they're like little knocks or pops or something. We couldn't tell which, but it sounded like a knock, but it could have been a mouth pop. It's like two of them back to back. And then throughout the night it was stuff she had, but we were leaving, driving off, hearing it like close as clear. They're going on or whatever. You come out. Uh, One thing we did at that place, just by I just didn't want to be a litter guy. We were putting out an audio recorder, and I didn't have anything made, so I just took a 16-ounce Coke bottle that you buy them 16 ounces on sale, 6 packs.
Mm-hmm.
So I cut the top off of it we put a recorder up in that and laid it down under some pine straw. And I took the end that I cut off and I put it in the trash can. Well, they had a bare trash can that's got the latches where you ain't supposed to be able to open it.
Yeah.
So I opened it up. When I let it go, it just slams real hard, and it wasn't just no time. We had a mouth pop right on top of us.
Oh yeah.
And we just made a round, turned the truck around so we could go back out in case something happened. Didn't see anything. Whatever made it was high as I was. I'm 6'2". The noise came from my level up like head high, and it was just right there, not no piece from me. And we didn't see no eye shine, no nothing. It had to be right there when we made the turn because we wasn't there 15 minutes. And I was setting the recorder out. We always got a recorder going as soon as she hits the ground. And in that place, every time we set our recorder out, if we was going to get something, we'd get it when we was putting it out, or when we just left. It was weird. And it was a blessing to have something that that we were looking for, and we finally found something. It could happen one day, it could happen on you 6 years down the road.
Yeah.
And I ain't talking about a Class A. I'm just talking about any kind of contact.
Right.
It's just, it's not. I hunted all my life and didn't know if I was having anything happening to me or around me, but till I knew what to start listening for, I thought I knew what to listen for, and then I got to realizing, well, hell, they've been happening all along. I just didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
You just don't know when you don't know. Nobody tells you.
Right. That's what happens.
In this field, it's such a lot of things are just held back by people. And then it finally come out with these dumb shows, even though they might not been they had some legit stuff in them shows, but they didn't try to. They were probably told whoever, you go have your fun, but you're not going to be able to put that on TV if you do find it. I mean, I feel the government or somebody put restrictions on them, or they could have used them for information bait too. Like the BFRO they could have very well be getting people's contact information of Bigfoot contact and that kind of thing, and then all of a sudden they're down there, taking care of the problem.
Yep.
Because you don't hear about all this stuff. And
yeah.
Did you get to see the recording at Flat Rocks, Mary, of what Bud and Angie had recorded?
I sent it to her.
Yes.
I sent it.
And that's how that is close as we got to anything on recording that was done by somebody who was with us, or we was right there with it. And that is how I would have thought that we both were saying this. I still say it today. I would have thought the thermal would have been clear as like really clear, close as it was. You could have seen eye sockets and all that different stuff, or ears, or anything where the difference in the heat contrast and all. But you seen what it was. That wasn't very far at all.
Yeah. But how
it
far
like it was shielded by, like it had a shield of, you don't get but just a little bit of. I mean, even when you see them a lot of times, you're just getting a glimpse of something here and there, and that's about what that was. It was just a glimpse.
Yeah.
And they were moving, trying to get away from one or the other, or both.
Yeah. How far was that?
Yeah, it says
we got over there. It was a fence row behind where he was standing, probably about 25 feet. He was behind that fence, best we could tell.
Okay, so about 25 feet from you.
Now, I would think it was pretty close. I thought it was closer than that, but
yeah, that's pretty common. I've seen.
I mean, you could have took thermals. There's been human beings that close. You could have seen the denim in their pockets, and you could have seen everything about them. The nose being cold, or if it'd been humans. I thermaled after that when we went out with Kumbo on a calling venture. Because it was pitch black. We had thermals. That's all we had. And I was looking at the people, seeing what they looked like from a distance, and we should have been able to pick all that out, but we couldn't. You couldn't pick none of that out in that quick film of what Bud had.
Now everyone, what he's talking about, you were on a camp out. Is that what it was?
No, we were at Flat Rocks.
We went to Hollands, and we had that with Kumbo and them. And when we
Right.
left
Oh,
there,
yeah.
we went straight to Flat Rocks. And
Yeah.
we had already planned it out going to Flat Rocks the year before, all of us. But this other deal came up and it fell into Hollands right before, so they lined it up where they're gonna take vacation. We was doing bam, bam, back to back,
Yeah.
and that's what we wound up doing since
Yeah.
we're
Now
gonna be in
this,
the area.
yeah, this video, I'm telling everyone what the video looked like. It was taken at night. It's what on the thermal on the black and white setting,
Right,
and
that was the best too.
yeah, and you could see, there's a tree or a bush, but you could see
Hmm.
something moving behind it that was a little bit larger, and that's fairly common. I've seen similar, at other places also.
It just
They'll
blows my
sit,
mind how
yeah, how close they
it
get.
was like it was cloaked almost or something.
Yeah, yeah, they'll
Yeah.
get fairly close, and they'll hide just to watch you,
I don't know, but
and
it was close. The dog picked up on it. That's the only reason we even knew it was there.
yeah,
And then those two guys, Bud and Angie Hallbutt, with their thermal in one hand and night vision in the other, and they was Johnny on the spot right at the right time. And the
right.
dog, we've been there several times. The dog would do that all the time, but he usually lost his mind and went out the edge of the woods. He just went around there and kind of shut down. Once Bud got over there, I'm thinking it's almost like he knows his foe out there.
Yeah,
Like he run around
Yes,
because he
that was
heard it,
pretty
but then
strange.
when he got over and smelt it, he just wagging his tail, just being nonchalant after that point.
oh
And
my.
and it's like
Yeah.
he knew they've known one another. I don't know.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
we have a question here
Yes.
from Siberia Visitor. Cool name. All right. Do
Okay.
you hide your audio recorder for them to notice, or do you secure it them from to avoid them taking it?
What I do is what I like to do. I like to set mine on the ground. I don't like to hang mine
Yeah,
because I seem to get a lot of bug noise.
yeah,
I have one of my recorders right here. Um, Chris Reinhardt got me into audio. A lot of people that go out, they either like video or audio. I am really big into audio, and we got these little recorders here, right here. This is the Zoom H1N. Um,
that's a good one.
yes, they're down to I think $69 now.
Wow.
Okay, they were $99 when we got them.
Yeah,
We have 4 of them. And what I like to do is I like to put it in the ground. I don't try and hide it from them.
yeah,
I just put it out so if I'm more like at the pond, it is open to the public. Some people do come out. Joe likes to put them in them. I don't like to
I like
use
to keep the
those.
water and dew off of them. I don't want to lose our equipment. And
yeah,
this one here
Right,
was set up to hang with a string and
right,
all. And I
yeah,
got a little
right.
keeper on the bottom to hold it in there.
yeah,
But I
Right.
just take them Coke bottles and put some camo duct tape on there. But to answer your question, Cyber, I don't want
Yeah.
nobody to take our stuff. And we've caught poachers with these things that didn't know that they
It's
were within a
there.
few feet of them and they didn't know it was there. And I try to cover them up with some leaves or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And if the boogers are watching you put them out, they'll go right there to them.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know about how much radiant they put off that they can pick up by. Sometimes it's a little
Right.
red light stays on them, and that could be a visual. But we just put the microphone with that little uh
Windsock on it.
yeah,
Yes.
it looks
yeah.
like an afro. What it looks like, but anyway, you put that on there where it's sticking out just a little, and you can hang it up if you want to, or you can lay it in a treetop or side a tree. But I just
Right.
made these for
I
quick.
don't like those. And you know I don't.
But
Bugs, I find that little beetles and little bugs get in there
Yeah,
and you can hear them chewing.
yeah,
And
they'll get
so
right next to the microphone and be aggravate you. Try to listen to it all night long.
so
yeah.
I like
But
to just put them out. I like to just put them out. I put them out so no one can find them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'll put mine in a baggie and seal it up and then throw a
sure,
couple leaves on top.
It'd be a
right,
miracle to find it, but
Yep,
unless you had a dog smelling for it or something.
right.
But it's a good thing to cover them up out of the weather,
Yeah.
and because you never know
right,
what you're finna have most nights.
Yeah, heavy dew or something.
right. But what I like to do is now that we have four, which we had two, but this is great. What I like to do is, but I don't hide them from them, but you do hear them coming up after we leave
Yeah,
and snooping around them. Something is coming up heavy
yeah.
and snooping around those. My experience using a recorder, you get a lot of information off of it too. I've learned more from the recorder than I
Mm-hmm.
have from listening to people.
Yeah.
It tells you what's in the area and what's going on.
Yep.
And but I also like to, if we're out somewhere, like when we go to the pond, is I take a recorder, and I've also learned, have your recorder running when you step out of the truck. Have it
Yes.
on.
Yep.
Step out of the truck. Date, give it the date, the
Yep.
time,
Yes.
the weather as well.
Yeah.
And before I step right out of that truck, it's going. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah. Good.
By
Very
not
good.
doing that. By not doing that, I
That
have
was the best
missed
place
some
that you was
things.
almost guaranteed before you got out of there you was gonna hear something if they were there.
Yeah.
And I
And
put one on the truck. Now what I do is when I go out a lot of times is I put one on the truck, on the back of the truck, and I I go ahead and I hide one. This way, and
Yeah.
a lot of times we have caught stuff live right there that
Mm-hmm.
we hear it in real time, plus we have it on audio. And then I'm able to take that audio home as well
Right.
and listen to it. Sometimes you don't get anything, but there's a recorder sitting there that I don't have to touch, that we'll
Mm-hmm.
go back and pick up the next day.
we're
And
30
that gives
miles
us
from some
more
of these places.
information.
We have just made an hour, just like ride the roads for an hour looking and stuff with thermals,
Mm-hmm.
and then just go back and pick it up and have something already on it. Well, the first, especially when we got out somewhere else and we had howls coming from that round where we had put that first drop at, and it sounded canine, but it could have been some other kind of canine too.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
they had a lot of stuff in that howls that night, and one of the recorders was real close to the area they was in that sounded like, and then we was up on a hill half a mile to a mile off and around a clear cut where there's a lot of sound could get in there. It was like really clear as far as it was wide open is what I'm trying to say. And we were picking it up on both recorders. But
Oh.
Right. Yeah, we picked it
uh,
up on both recorders. We were trying to locate them because you could go in and not um you there for a little while we weren't
after they
getting
burned,
anything.
they were missing in action after they burned. We was trying to figure out where they went to.
But we found them. We found them. They were on down the road, which there's a back road that goes into that pond. And what it is with the pond is, it is a when we were camping at another location in the national forest, some of the locals told Joe about a fishing pond there that's in the national forest itself. So we went out there, and we went out there at night one night, and it's close driving in. And I tell you what, I had a really, really bad feeling going in. I rolled my windows up, and it was hot out.
Oh.
And
Wow.
normally I don't roll my windows up. I said, this place gives me the creeps. And we pulled up in there, and they have like a levee around on the one side that you used to be able to drive. They blocked that sense. But we turned around. There's only one way in, basically, and one way out. And we said, we'll come back the next day. And what we did is we came back the next evening because we were just camping right down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And when we came, I said, I'm going to bring a recorder. We came back out right before dark, and that's when Joe had got into the garbage can and slammed it. He had set a recorder out. I'm busy looking through a thermal, and there's a mouth pop probably 50 yards away from us.
I don't
I've
know if it's
never
even
heard a
that
mouth
far. It was
pop
close.
before, or maybe even closer. I've
Yeah, it was
never
close.
heard a mouth pop before, but I have now. I know
Yeah.
what they sound like. It was
Yeah.
unreal. And when we left, and I thought he had done it, but when we had left, there was a recorder still sitting there when we left. And so I had known I already got that on recorder.
As long as it
But we
didn't
left
mess
it
up,
all
we knew we
night.
had, because we already had it running before we made the move to. She wanted me to
Right.
go call, and so I went to go get the call out of the truck, and I was going to try to do a coyote or something, and before I even got away from the truck, the mouth pop came. Well, he'd
Right.
already put the audio recorder down and slammed the trash can because I took the top off of that thing and I threw it away, and we covered up with pine straw outside that levee, so it was just a good place. You could get out there and put it out without stepping out there and getting a bunch of bugs and all that. And so
It
we
was
just
by the
set it out.
garbage can too.
And the garbage can was right there. And then later on, it was a porta toilet right there. She kept getting sounds from. She didn't know what it was. It turned
They
out
were
they flew in that porta toilet.
Well, another thing too, that night when we left, we heard the knocks and stuff when we left. We could hear all this on the recorder and movement and trees being knocked over. We heard the garbage can open and close. There was no one there. No one.
Wow.
And we heard the garbage can open and close. When they had a porta john out there, they brought one out a few days later. I would hear that slam shut and open in the middle of the night. And there was all of that going on. Plus, you'd hear the bugs all of a sudden get silent. And then you would hear the tree fall.
That was loaded with little
crashing.
frogs and big frogs. They would go silent, then they'd go wild, then they go silent, then they go wild.
Yep.
But you knew something was coming when you heard this. But we got a lot. But what we discovered is when we went back to pick our recorder up and we were and got all that, well, we're going to go back out. We found a place. So we're going to go back out. And what we discovered is it was blocked. And what it was is there was a fishing rodeo. They had dropped a bunch of fish in this pond. And for the kids that weekend. So it was closed. And that's what they had done that week. They had put fish in there. And that's when the porta johns were there. And we were getting this. They were only there for a couple days. They were opened and closed, and all that had been going on too as well. So we did discover that. So that kept them busy for a little while because there was fish stocked in this pond.
Oh yeah.
And it's still ongoing. We didn't want to approach the woods, right, Joe? We wanted to stay out of the woods. I wanted to take it really slow.
Yeah.
We had trees down going in there on a main gravel road goes into this place. We round a curve and it might have been just coincidental, but there was trees over that road. The forestry go clean them out so they could drive in there, and a day later be another one pushed down over the road.
Yeah.
I'm having that kind of go on where I hunt now, where I had trees over my lanes with my fire lane where I come into my place.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is because I got lots of game that they would eat if they were there. It might be just coincidental, but we sure had some different things happen around there, that we found this. We had this little bitty light tree knock the night we had the two recorders out and had these howls and stuff. Well, the next little bit, they go back all around this area and chop it out with this grinder wheel, and all the understories, just the big trees left, they had chopped everything to the ground. So now they got that area messed up for cover. You got fresh browses coming up, and you may have some deer come up, but the cover they had to sneak up on you is gone down. It's that high now. It's gone because they done chopped the woods out.
Right.
And they do some stuff, for their own good, I guess, but it sure looks like they doing it within the confines of what we have going on. It's like somebody knows something and they're just doing this and they're just doing that. We had a ranger or a worker one night came up, says he was walking the trail or something, and he was looking for turkey sign or something, but he wouldn't say that. But anyway, and I said, "You sure you don't want to ride back?" And it got to be dark because we kept him talking there for a little while. He said, might be all right. I ought to just ride back over with you, and I need to go to church. And he didn't know. I said, well, that might be better off. You come, let us take you back over. And he didn't want to admit to any of this stuff, but he didn't, I think he had a sneaking suspicion something was going on with all that around there. He could have been looking for tracks for that too.
Definitely.
But it's a lot of stuff goes on there, and people's there. It's just weird. We go there sometimes, and somebody might be there when we get there, and they leave and go home, and they never know anything. And then we get there for another hour or two, and then all of a sudden you have something happen, and you recognize it's not happening. We had tree breaks on her recorder that you hear a big tree, push. You'd have to go hunt the woods to find where it is, and then you don't know if they just doing it, mimicking it, or whatever. But we had all kind of weird stuff around that place. When it was on, it was some of the best Bigfoot the person could do. And we tried not to mess it up, but enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't want to go there and pressure those things. We didn't. They knew we was who we were, I think, but we didn't want to get anything. It wasn't no use stomping around in the woods because they was right there looking at you. It wasn't no use to call. It wasn't no use to beat on nothing. They were there looking at you most of the time. When you pulled up or you left, they knew what was going on.
Right.
No, take it slow. That's the best way to do it. Just take it slow.
Well, that's what we were doing.
That's what I tried to tell them in Holland. I said, y'all don't have to do no calls here because they already here.
No.
Right. They
were
already there.
Yeah.
Dogs in the yard, why are you going to holler for?
Yeah, I never call. I don't bang on trees. I don't call.
I mean, they were already here.
I know where they're at.
Right. Every once in a while, like out at the pond or some place that we've been going for a while.
Yeah.
If like at the pond, when they had the burns and things like that, I said, Joe, they're not here. Because what we were doing is we were coming the same time at night. And it got to the point that as soon as we got there, the big tree knock would happen. And, and like I said, we're standing right there.
So you get glimpses of stuff when you're on the other side of the pond fishing. You get glimpses of stuff running around your truck. And it's like, did I see something?
Right. But the one night,
it was all kind of stuff.
The one night it was dark and we were down the levee. This kind of unnerved me a little bit. It scared me, basically. But I put a recorder on the back of the truck and I had a recorder out as well. But we had walked down to the other end of the levee there at the pond and it was dark and we were walking back. And he fishes along that levee. So we were walking back and we could hear a stomp and it was by the truck.
That's what it sounded like.
I said,
right by the truck.
I said, did you hear that? And he said, yes. So what we did is we started walking back towards the truck and acted like we didn't hear anything, just trying to play it off, talking all the way back. And sure enough, it was on the recorder and there was something messing around the truck. And that one kind of unnerved me a little bit because I've never heard a stomp before, but I heard a stomp that night. And that one unnerved me a little bit too. But it was like we had the feeling going out there that they know that we know. So we were getting it. We would immediately get tree knocks across the way at us and different things like that. Joe having the rock thrown in the pond while he's fishing, just different things like that we had going on. So we were doing a slow contact. There's only one way and one way out, one way in and one way out. So we always make sure we had the truck turned around because we could be blocked in.
Oh yeah.
They could
Yep.
block us in 2 or 3 different ways before we even got to the main road. Because they
Right.
get out ahead of us easy.
Right. So we had to be careful of those kind of things.
Yeah. Always back in and turn around and
I'd made a
Yes.
circle, I could do a circle in my truck, so I'd circle and get, out of the road, but where I could, right on the edge of it, where I could take off when I need to, and she would put the recorder on the back, and we'd have one, we'd go set out. That's what we were going to do that night. Then I'd grab my pole, we'd start fishing around the pond. Just, if there's somebody there, well, I would just start fishing. We wouldn't put nothing out. When they left and it got right about dusty dark, things would start happening most of the time. Now, we've had stuff earlier than that, but it was usually right about dusty dark.
Yeah.
That's when we'd get the tree knocks and things like that. I never went into the woods or anything like that. I always respected their space. And I wanted to go in slow. I wanted to move slowly on this.
Right.
So after the burn and things like that, we haven't been back there in a while. We've been busy. We watched it for like a year. And no, I haven't been able to record any kind of Sierra sounds, but I do have some moaning that is creepy.
That's a Hollands moan.
And also at Flat Rocks, just a month ago, I have this real crazy moaning is what I have. It's too low to hear.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a distance away. I have a son that went to school for radio and television, so he was able to pull that out of a recorder for me. So that kind of helps. I got a little bit of help when I'm in Ohio. I can pull things out that other people can't. But I've never got any kind of gibberish or anything like that. We've heard big screams, things like that.
Louisiana, though, is a little bit lower tone than Alabama is and stuff.
Yeah, they don't. We don't get a lot of vocals.
Yeah, same here.
In
Where
Louisiana.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah, very, very few vocals up here. Just occasionally, and usually around 3 a.m. Very, very late.
Do you have you think yours is pressured too much by people calling to them, or
not by people calling to them, just proximity of humans.
Right.
I think we're not quite so spread out.
Right. This is why we like to go to Flat Rocks, but also in the National Forest. The one place we went to is we found what we believe to be a structure. I normally don't put a lot of stock into structures, especially in Louisiana, because we have a lot of piney woods, and we have a lot of deadfall and a lot of hurricanes, things like that. But this one was very, very unusual, and nothing was cut. It was all broken. It was led to like crossroads and things like that. There was a green field down the road that Joe and I watched. I suspected they were going to be in there. We kept watching. We watched that for
a lot of landmarks right there
months.
came together right there at that place.
Yes.
We never found a secondary one. That's the only thing. It was bad. We never did find a secondary one nowhere. And then it kind of, for lack of better words, it just deteriorated down to nothing. It's still a piece or two there, but it ain't like it was. At one time it was very stuck out, really, well done.
Right.
We drove right by it, and I was looking at the ground. She was looking at, that's another thing when y'all out riding around. If you're looking on the ground for tracks, you're not going to be able to look chest high out through the woods and all. So she's looking out chest high, and I'm looking at the ground.
Yeah. And
we're driving on both sides of the truck, of course. But when we turned around and come back, she spies that by the way. I was looking at the ground. I never seen it. And it was something you got your head down looking. You can't, unless you take your time and scan up and down to everything, you can't see all this stuff that's there.
That's too hard.
It's not always hid, because they got to be able, their own kinds got to be able to find it for whatever they use it for.
Yeah. Now, Pat, out in Ohio, do you find a lot of structures there?
You know what? I don't go out in Ohio. I've yet to go out because we do have a rule that I don't go out by myself.
Yeah.
Um, man, there's a lot of crazies, and I just don't. I just don't. I'm here to visit with my family. I can do all that
We're set up way
down
better than
there.
she is. We're
Yeah,
like no peace from being at the woods without it. There's a little old town ain't got 15,000 in it, and
Yeah.
a lot of Louisiana's either down along the Red River Valley. It's all agriculture mostly, with
Yeah.
scattered
right,
fields and scattered trees and stuff. But up in the piney woods, up in the hills, is all piney woods, and it's just got small,
right.
wood lots of big
Mm-hmm.
wood lots of small pastures
I do
kind of
have
thing.
I do have the Loveland Frog about 5 miles
Oh my
from me
God! Here we go.
What is
that
it?
everybody talks
You're
about. The
deteriorating the
love
damn channel with a
The
Loveland
Loveland
frog.
frog. It's a big
Oh
thing.
my goodness.
The Loveland frog is kind of like about not quite as famous as Mothman. I'm
Okay.
not I'm not all that far from Mothman, the
Oh
Mothman
God.
thing either. And which he goes on about that. But go to go back to go back to this one area where I found the structure. I watched it and I would photograph it about every week, every 2 weeks. So we would go out and
Mm-hmm.
nothing changed. So the one day I decided to touch it and just to see what would happen. It's kind of disintegrated. It's kind of, I said, I'm going to touch it to see if let's see what they have to say, people say.
Yeah.
But also but during that time, Joe had walked off and normally we stay in one another's sight. We were out of eyesight from one another. And right across from me, he was looking for turkey tracks, things like that. It was turkey gobble. It's right there. And I felt that day that I was being lured. I was being lured out there.
Oh.
And
She's right by
I
the
went
truck.
back
You
to the
think you can
truck.
walk off and leave her by the truck, but you can't. You
Right.
can't leave her anywhere. She has something.
And
Marthaville was the same way. You can't leave
yeah,
her nowhere.
I
Yeah.
had one scream behind me while Joe was out putting out corn one day. I expected to turn around and find it standing there, and it wasn't there. Nothing was there. That was only like maybe uh 25 yards away from me.
Mm-hmm.
I expected to turn around and it be right there. The Loveland Frog, yeah, local legend.
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
That's right, Catherine.
mm,
Tell him. Catherine knows exactly. She knows
yeah.
exactly where I live, my
Catherine,
house
you're
and
just
everything.
starting trouble. We don't believe in none of that frog business.
And
We can't
yeah,
fry
it
'em.
is a
Ain't no
legend.
good.
It is a legend. But also on up the road where this structure was at, also on up the road, Joe decided one night to do I guess like a wounded coyote with the mouth calls and things like that. And what happened, he got a call back. And it was not happy, whatever it was. It was big. It was big. And so that let me know, hey, they are in that area. I suspected it anyway.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of that go on. Just we've had a lot of we've been lucky. Frog legs.
Yes.
We have a lot of little things that happen. We seem to be really, really lucky. I don't know what it is. If we're right place, right time.
That's just
Um,
like being where y'all that day over at LBL.
Yeah.
We went
yeah,
over there thinking else was going to be there, but y'all were there, and we stayed with y'all and wasn't going to leave y'all.
Yep.
And then it turned out to be a revolving door, people in and out of that place. After y'all left, it was like they'd come in, stay one night, and they were gone.
right. And the last night we stayed for the eclipse, and that night we had went to bed. There's no one around, absolutely no one. The place is all empty, and I hear something. We had a ditch run right beside us, and it was on my side of the bedroom there. And I was woken up to something heavy, like it sounded like it was jumping the ditch, and you could hear in the gravel walking around the camper.
Hmm.
We don't know what it was or anything. And I remember the next day, I said something to Joe. I didn't wake Joe up or anything. I just listened. I could hear it walk, and then it'd walk on the other side. Whatever it was very heavy. But I said something to Joe the next day, and he said, I didn't wake you. I thought you were asleep, and I heard it too. It
Uh,
woke me up. He
uh,
heard it as well.
Mhm.
So
They
this
was
was
trying
after
to
y'all
wake us up
left.
because they could have easily been just as quiet as a church mouse, but they wanted to stomp around there. They
yeah.
were getting that response from those people in the tent where they boogered them and they all left and they got to look over the hill and laugh at what they were doing, I guess, in their mental. And we just we didn't even get up. A lot of times I won't even get up fool with it when I hear them messing around, as long as they ain't doing no harm.
Well, nowadays we've
I just
got
stay in
used to
bed.
it. Yeah, we've got used to it, and a lot of
Yeah.
times we can't hear as well in the camper either.
Yeah.
And that's
You
where
could hear that though. He had to stomp hard, plus
yeah,
my BiPAP on too.
right. But that's when the recorder comes into play. A lot of times I will put one out right outside the door in my chair cup holder. Is I'll have a
But it
recorder running
rained
right
that
there.
weekend there. You know, it was raining and bad and cold, so we
Oh,
didn't get to record as much as we would
Right.
have.
oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, with all the rain and the wind and things,
Yeah.
I tried to the first night and it was too hard, so I just didn't even bother. I can do all that kind of stuff at home anyway,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, with the noise from the rain and the wind, it's useless.
But at
You know,
Flat
and we had the
Rocks,
camera on the back, the backup camera on
Yeah.
the trailer, which we were pointed toward the lake. I could see down the lake a little ways, but it was so much wind and fog and rain, misting. Well, it
right.
ain't fog. I guess it was that mist and rain. You knocked down the vision. You couldn't see very far, and then you was looking at the water within just a few feet.
Mm-hmm.
After that
Mhm.
pad, you was looking out over the water. Might have been over where Diane was or something. We might could have seen something walking behind there.
Yeah.
Right.
We were almost in the perfect set to see it at Flat Rock, but they were just a little bit out of our seeing range of that camera.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
man that uh Miss Victoria interviewed. I forgot his name, but he spent a couple days right where we were at, and
okay.
he recorded over there, and he got some screams and things like that,
Wow.
which it was very unusual. I'll let you know who that was
Okay.
later
Yeah.
on. And I thought, Mary would be interested in this, and I listened to it
Yeah.
because it was right at that location.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, he was at 23. Whatever the infamous 23 spot is, it's supposed to
Okay.
be known for something
Yeah.
happening.
Yes. Yes. I know which one that is.
It's up there by the
Okay.
bathroom, maybe, or something, in
Yes.
the edge of the woods. I mean,
Yes.
on the hillside.
Right. It's
I
right up
think that's where
in
he
the
was at.
woods.
That he came back what, June or May or June? It was late. I mean, it was pretty warm when he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's very interesting. I think
Somebody
you'd
was telling about
enjoy
it. I
that.
don't remember if it's Barry Browning or somebody was telling us about that. Or one
yeah.
of them shows could have been. Could have been
Yeah.
yours. I don't know.
That one spot, it's pretty infamous. They'll rock, if you're in a vehicle or trailer, they'll rock you there and
Mhm.
uh, make all kinds of problems and chase people away.
Right. Now in
I don't think it's
Hollands,
23 just by I don't if you was at 24
right,
or 4, they'd be over there too, rocking you and all that. There wasn't
Yeah,
nobody there, I think.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, I don't know what else, how many of them was up on side that hill, but I seen it when we drove around there, made that loop. But
Mhm.
I think they
Mhm.
go wherever the action is.
oh
And
yeah,
once
They seem
everybody
to
kind of
there.
gets away, then you just got to, if they're going to fool with somebody, that's all they got left. That
oh,
they ain't going to
well yeah.
stop.
It's fun for them, we're their entertainment. So
Mm.
Kind of
Obvious.
bored back in
I've
there when
learned
ain't
that.
nobody there, I imagine.
We've
I
learned
can't
that
believe how
now
many
it
people won't even drive back there and stay, though. It's a lot of people won't
no,
even stay back there, much less walk through the woods from one place
yeah,
to the other.
it's
I mean,
no,
I did that.
transportation.
I said, I do this all the time at home. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I ain't as young as I used to be, but I figure I get up high. They could, if I stay up high, they'd have a lot of trouble hiding from me. If they stay high and I go low, they're gonna be easy to watch me go through that, do
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
But if I stay high
Mhm.
with them, it puts me in more of an advantage if I need to have one. I just thought it'd be smoother walking too, to stay up on top of the ridge.
Yeah. Now at Hollands, um, I don't know if Wendell's in the chat or not, but there was Mark Green had a little meet and greet that we go to all the time. We've been
Yeah.
going. I think we've been there maybe 4 times now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4 times, I believe.
At least.
And anyways, we like to go early and we camp.
Mhm.
And what we did is we left and we came early. And there was another young man that came there right after we got there. We got there right about dark. Wendell was there,
Okay.
and this other gentleman had come up, young man, and it was just Joe and I, and we were at Hollands by ourselves. And he had done some things that night. He's he's very spiritual, and it was Holy Week for him. And he come out with his little Amazon bag of tricks that night, and he decided to pull some of that out. And he played some of that. He played some drums and things like that.
Yeah.
And we got some coyotes and just like different things and some
Mhm.
weird, some weird whippoorwills, but nothing big or anything. But that night I put a recorder out. He was on the other side of Wendell. Now there's no one else there, just us. And I put a recorder out. He also had a recorder out. He had stuff going on there, and he got the moaning and things as well as I do. Our recorders match. And there was something working in the woods. I don't know what it was. It was banging on a tree or something, on a down tree or something close. But I got whistles coming past the camper. Just some different things like that. Movement. There was something that was tapping on our grill right outside our camper.
Uh,
And it was up against the camper. We hadn't even put it out yet. There was something standing there. There was something just tapping.
yeah.
But there was
The wiggle ball at
some
night too.
things. Yeah, and I have a giggle ball that's a dog toy
Yes,
that
I have one. Yeah.
okay. Well, I have one of those and I've got that moving. I don't know what moved it. It only moved it for a second though. Whatever it was stopped real
It
quick.
must have stepped on that rug. Could have done it too. If he put a lot
Well,
of weight on that rug.
possibly whatever. There was something snooping around, and I think you had some stuff happen around there. Him and Mark Green both that they had something, movement run past them when they're working outside the campers and things like that.
He tapped
Over,
on it when I was in there laying down to go to bed.
yeah, something came
When I was
up.
pouring water in the camper, adding to the shower water, something ran by. Sounded like, just ran across the ground, ran by with my back turned to it.
And Mark Green had come
I
over
don't know
there
why it would
too.
have been anything, but you could plainly hear it. I mean, even deaf as I am, I heard it just like, it wasn't very far, just like
Yeah.
come out of the darkness there and ran through the ambient light, ran kind of across the road, two roads come together there. And I'm thinking, and then a little later on, I looked down there from up by where the campfire was. It was like I could see a shadow moving around down there. But it's infamous Bigfoot shadows, and you really
Yeah,
can't
it
see
is.
something,
It
but you
really
think you're
is
seeing
there.
something, so it's just
Yeah.
one of the weird things that we see.
Yep.
Once if they want to let you see that much.
Yep. You
Uh,
think your eyes are playing tricks with you or
but
something.
more of us seen it than one because Mark seen something down there he thought too, saying, down by our trailer, but we was all up there,
Right.
50 yards away, just say.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Jody and I decided Greg and them had come, and Roger has it recorded, but around that time they were all at camp, and Jody and I decided to walk
that,
up the
Joe.
and oh yeah, exactly. Jody and I walked up the hill, and we decided to, walk off our big meal and go up there to the green field up there and just snoop around, just her and I. And we didn't take any phones or recorders or anything. We were
Yeah.
just gonna just be ourselves up there.
Yeah.
Just the two women. We were gonna try that.
Okay.
So I decided I'm gonna talk to them up there, and invite them to walk down with us and just different things, just chatting all the way. And it kind of scared her a little bit because you could hear a little movement every now and then.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, it's no big deal. Come on." And she said, "I don't want them following us home and things like that." I said, "Oh, come on, Jody." And I said, "I'll tell you what, Jody." I said, so I hollered at him. I said, "You can come down, but you can't come past the gate. You walk with us, but you can't come past the gate." We had just got out of there. We had been out of there maybe 2 minutes.
Let's see what I have
And
to deal with.
Roger Williams had come around, and then there was Superfly. He had come around there with his wife, and she heard something. He has it on film, and he has it up on his channel as well. All of a sudden, he's got his phone going, and you hear the screams, and it was all down in that area.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it went off. It went off. And he has that. You can hear all that on his channel. And
what's his channel name?
It's Squatch and Holler.
Okay, thank you.
Roger Williams.
Yes.
And,
okay.
And you can actually see that video and everything else. Jody and I had just left that area. And because no one was around, they were coming up on it, and we were leaving, and they got all these screams. It was pretty impressive, actually, the recording is. And that's at Hollands too. Now, like I said, when we went to the Hollands this last time, a lot of people had things happen. There was some yelling and some things going on, but you know what? There was a lot of people there. But I do know that 4 of us, Jody was one of them, the last night we were there, people were pretty much ready to go home. It was quieting down. So we decided to go up on the hill that night. Joe and I and Jody and our one friend, Justin. And we hung up there quite a bit. And then we came back down. And something hollered at us coming out. I know Tennessee Cherokee was standing at the gate, and I go, "Did you hear that?" And he goes, "Yes, I did." He was checking his recorders that he had set up because he thought it was full. I don't know if he ever got it or if he was changing out his recorder because he was talking about it was full. And I said, "That wasn't us." He said, "I know it wasn't you." We did have that, and we did hear some screams there. When it wasn't anybody else, they seemed to come out, and they appeared to be pretty bold around there that weekend for some reason.
Well, a lot of people.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah.
For some reason, they were really bold. Really bold.
Just curious as to, all the people hanging around.
Then, like I said, we went to Flat Rocks. We've had experiences at Flat Rocks before that we used Jody, which is a classically trained singer.
Yeah.
And we had her listen to one of Flat Rock's recordings, and we had her mimic it. Angie had her mimic it. So she went to the edge of the woods, and she did it. And it was like roll call. One was right in front of her, startled her pretty bad. But we've got that recorded. You can hear some of that. You can hear that on Fun Adventures with Bud and Angie, and it said a trip to Flat Rocks or something. or it was the Alabama one. It was the first one. It was a year ago.
Okay.
And we had went to Flat Rocks before with Squatching Cowboy, and we had a scream come back at us in the middle of the night. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and it made a firm believer out of Joe's wife.
Yeah. Now I have a question. All your recordings, do you have a YouTube channel or a SoundCloud?
No,
You,
what I'm thinking about doing is I needed to get enough of them together and trying to put it together is I would like to do a channel where you hear the audio, where it's going to be more audio
yeah.
and things like that, and where you can listen to it and kind of add to it and maybe a few things in between.
Yeah. You can do that on SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got a SoundCloud channel, but I haven't really put anything on it in years. But but that's what I like about it, because you can just put the short little clips on there, or the longer ones, and
Right.
it's all audio.
Right. There was a woman, she has passed away, that I used to love to listen to, and you may remember her. Her name was she went by Lady in Waiting, and she was Bigfoot Research. It
Okay.
was the name of her channel. And she has passed away, and she
Oh,
apparently she was like about our age, and she had been a bails bondsman. And so so she would go out, and I believe she might have been in Maryland or up that way somewhere, and she would
mhm.
go out by herself and sleep in her truck, and
Okay.
she had a lot of audio, and I liked her style, and I would like maybe to continue that format out
Yeah.
of respect to her
Yeah.
as well, because she was so good at it, and it was so clear and so interesting, and I learned so much from her, and that's where I kind of got my love for audio,
Yeah.
by listening to her. She was her stuff. A lot of her stuff is still up. She's been gone for maybe about 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Bless her
She'd drive
heart.
out in the middle of nowhere, and then she'd get the bejeebers scared out of her because she's by herself in
She
her
said, "I'm
truck,
out."
all hunkered down in
Yeah.
her truck, like ducked down underneath the dang dashboard or something, trying to hide from them, but yet talking to a
Yeah,
microphone or something. It was. The old gal she was pretty
she was
salty to do
brave.
all she did. Ain't no
Yeah,
doubt.
she was very
Good
brave,
for
but
her.
she would talk right into the recorder as you're listening too. So
Okay.
Oh,
it
it was
was
even to the point if I don't make it back,
right,
if I don't make it back, this
right.
is that's happening.
I hope she got her answers, but anyways, I would like to do something like that. I really don't want to do a channel because I don't really want to be committed. I've had offers and things like that, but I really don't want the commitment. I want to be able to go out and do my thing and and enjoy life,
Yeah.
because I could probably maybe do this a few more years, and I'm not a young chicken. You know
Yeah.
how it is.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
and so, but at Flat Rocks, we got some activity
Your gumbo chicken.
that weekend, and I got a lot of nice recordings off of that one. A lot of the whistling,
Yeah.
the tapping, they were around Jody's car
Hmm.
a whole lot, where she sleeps in the camper now.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but she didn't. Even that night when she did the scream, she didn't. But I got a recorder facing her just a few feet away, and you can hear and she's got her windows down with that mesh.
Yeah.
It's the only to keep the bugs out, and that
Yep.
was it. She didn't hear anything.
Then her
But
battery
I
went dead, so she couldn't roll her windows up.
yeah,
And
but
that
I
might
got
be
it
that might
all.
have been done by the boogers too. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's braver than me. She's braver than me, because you could hear them. You could hear them right there walking around her car,
She swore
and
to
right
them
there
wasn't
at the
nothing
edge of the
around her car.
woods.
I didn't hear anything. She must have been asleep.
Yeah.
Well,
Deep
another thing
sleeper.
is too, which it helped Joe be more of a believer is Angie and Bud had just went to bed. This is last year.
Yeah.
Angie and Bud had just went to bed, and we both had recorders out. Bud had a recorder out, and I had a recorder out, and they were running. And this is about 11, a little after 11. And Angie went right to sleep.
Mhm.
But Bud, they sleep in the back of their truck,
Yeah.
and something come up to the window and went whoop right at the window at him. And he cocked the shotgun, right next to him. But during that time as well, Flat Rock, Joe, and I are sitting outside the camper, just talking and visiting right out there, 50 feet away.
We didn't even
One
hear what he
comes,
heard.
yeah, we didn't even
We didn't
hear
even
what
hear
he
what
heard.
he heard.
No, 50 feet away
Yeah.
at the edge of the woods, one come up there just out of eyesight. I don't know why they do that, just out of eyesight
Yeah.
and just out of your vision, and screamed at us 3 times, and it sounded just like Jody. And I said, "Oh my God, they're looking for Jody." It sounded just like Jody.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'd love to hear those.
Oh yeah, but but anyway, so I go back. I go, "Oh, I got it recorded," and all this. Bud checked his. I checked mine. My recorder shut off. So did Bud's. There was no reason. Fresh batteries, everything.
Wow.
Both our recorders at the same time shut off. We didn't get it. How I'd love to have gotten that. And so that's what's nice with the backups.
Yeah, we've had game cameras go dead, brand new batteries, brand new,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just go dead. But yeah, I used to do a lot of audio recording also, but yeah, my good recorder died, and I haven't been able to afford to replace it. So it's like, okay.
Well, we need to get her a recorder. That's what we need to do. We need to get Mary a recorder for Christmas or something. But Flat Rocks has paid off a lot for us. A lot.
That's what. One of these days, I'm going to get down there.
I'm
one of
telling
these
It don't
days-
happen for everybody either. I mean, he'll tell you
No.
quick that some of his best
Yeah.
best nights have been when we're there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Him and Greg
Yeah.
and Kumba. I got to get down there.
Right. Exactly.
Next year.
It's a good little deal to hit every one of them while you're on the way.
Yeah,
We did that.
absolutely.
Greg lines up, Kumbo's ahead of Greg,
Yep.
and then you can go to Greg's, and then you go right on down to Mark Green's, and right on down to Flat Rock.
That's what
I'll
we
just make a
did.
circle.
That's what we did the one year is
Yeah.
we headed to Greg's. We stayed 2 nights at Greg's.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped by. We spent the night with Mark Green.
Mm-hmm.
I put a recorder out. I gave him the microchip on that stuff was going on there. I gave him that. And then we went straight to Flat Rocks, and we had all that going on. So we made like a big week out of that, Joe and I did, but we're retired now. So we're able to go and we just take off and do stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
you have to have time to do it, and funds ain't cheap.
I
We'll get
know.
that cheap gas going for long, baby.
Right. Maybe we'll get some cheap gas here soon.
Yes.
But, Flat Rocks now this past time has been kind of entertaining because Joe had went into the camper or something, and we were sitting outside the camper. It was Bud and Angie and Joe and I and Flat Rock. The dog, anytime the dog hears something, he will alert you. He will run to the woods. Then he stops. He
Okay.
will let you know. He's always done this. Always done this. And so Bud had said, he had told Flat Rock, I'm going to put him to the test this time when we go there. When we get there, he told him that at Hollands. He said, I'm going with him. So, I mean, we tried to do that before and different things like that. But,
just
we
be
were a little
careful.
bit of a distance away. But
Yeah.
what he did is he got up Now he could see a cat and stuff, and he could go after that, but never bark or anything.
Yeah.
But when he knows they're around, he does that low growl and he does
Yeah.
that bark. He starts sniffing the air. So he was laying there by me. I seen him sniff the air. He
Yes.
yes, exactly, Michael. He jumps up by the grill just a couple feet away from us, and he does the pointing because he's got lab in him. He's a lab. He's a
Okay.
big dog, about probably 150 pounds. He's a
Okay.
big boy. And he started that pointing and low growling. And all of a sudden, he takes off to the woods, which is only 20 feet away from us, the edge of the woods. We're from where we are at. It's only 20 feet away.
Yeah.
He takes off to the woods. Bud has, what did he have?
He had his thermal in his lap or
He
in
had
the
his
pocket of his chair or
thermal
something.
on the table right
Yeah.
there.
He had it
He
close
said,
by.
I'm going with him. Yeah, he said, I'm going with him. All of a sudden, Bud grabs it and runs with the dog and runs there only 20 feet away. And Angie decides to jump up. She don't want him to go by himself. So she grabs the night vision. She's not used to using it. So she grabs it. She takes off. So they're at an angle. He's this way and she's at another angle. And she's at the edge of the woods. And he's walking and he's recording on the edge of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just, that bush is just right there, and it was blocking. So he's following the dog.
But Angie's got a whole different look.
Yeah, she's got a whole
She's
different
catching
angle.
this thing too.
Right. And so all of a sudden, and now I'm sitting in a chair. I don't want to interfere with what they got going on. Joe's in the camper, and she locks onto something. And I remember her going, Bud, 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 like that. And she's got the night vision, but she's not used to it. But she can still, it's on, but
Yeah.
she can still see through it.
Yeah.
But all she had to do was push that button and light it up and record it.
Yeah.
That's all she would have lit it up right there.
Wow.
It's 25 feet. We measured it and figured it out. It was 25 feet into that edge of the woods.
About that much taller than me or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and she was able to see the Forestry Service backs up against his property.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Flat Rock said it runs, that's all wooded, and it goes back to creeks and things like that, and it runs back, I believe he said 2 miles, nothing but woods. He's 25 acres and surrounded in woods, and we're in the middle of this. We're sitting right in the middle of it.
Nice.
And like I said, we're 20 feet away from the edge of the woods. That whatever it is another 25 feet away from it. We know it's not a person. We know it's not an animal.
Yeah.
She was able to see through the night vision
Mm-hmm.
She could see the shape and the shoulders. She was able to judge the height because it was standing by some trees that had been marked by the forestry.
Oh.
With the white dots on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she was able to do her calculations. We were able to get somewhat of a height by going by those markers.
Mm-hmm.
And Bud didn't even know he even had anything on his. He's just, I guess we're thinking maybe there was more than one, but we're uncertain.
Yeah.
Bud could hear the noise, hear a little movement. And there was a fence right there, right, Joe?
Yeah.
There's a
it's
fence
an old
right
woodline
there.
fence right there that's got little Burma trees around.
Right, and it's nothing but all those thorns and things like that, briars. Whatever it was standing in the briars.
Okay.
Whatever it was. But she was able to see it at a different angle. Bud never saw it. He's just filming. He's just trying to film, go back and forth.
Yeah.
And following the dog. The dog.
She's actually had a better look than he did. What we got to see afterwards is his, but
Right.
she got a better look. So it was two different looks on two different type of night visions.
Right.
And all was done there. It's really I really forget about that. Angie's one had really good sighting, but
Yes.
she didn't have it recorded. And
Oh,
what he had was
Oh,
just
she's so upset.
and the thing. I
bet.
think the thing was trying to get away, but yet not run into her because she came in the back. Came in behind him a little bit later than Bud.
Yeah.
And
And
she
then
pushed it. And
on
I don't know
past
if
that
Joe pushed.
it had a regular deer camera he had set up too. If
Okay.
it went
Right.
further over the other way, he would have to contend with that.
Now, how
If it,
tall do you estimate that it was? Or did
Seven and a
she?
half. 7.5 is what they figured.
Okay.
Okay.
it,
The year before, on the recording on the video, um, there was one over there by where Jody had done some screams. That the second call she had done.
Mm-hmm.
There was something standing over there, and Joe and Bud had figured it was 7.5 foot tall. You can see on the video, if it's real dark in your room, you can see the eyes blinking.
Yeah.
And Joe got some eye shine then too.
well, I got some. We went out that night. We walked down the logging road behind this place, went down to the end of it, turned and went up the creek, and then made a little circle out there. Well, I seen eye shine out there,
Hmm.
and I said, just a second, and I seen it was gone. And then I went back. We were sitting by the fire before Jody went to call, and behind Flat Rock in the same spot they got it on video. I seen an eye shine, the same kind of eye shine right there, just for a second, and I didn't even tell nobody.
It was
I
red, wasn't
just
it?
Yeah, it was red. The other one in the woods was red too. So I didn't really tell anybody anything about that,
No.
but it only happened just for like a split second. And then Jody went over to call. We told her to go into the woods further and further and further. And then when they they went over there with the camera, and then that's when they got the eye shine flickering on the camera,
Mm-hmm.
plus bird noises and all kind of stuff. And then they all start calling back to her, and then she runs back to the fire uh, in a fast pace. She didn't really run, but it was in a fast pace back to the fire, and the whole place was lit up with different stuff howling and cutting up, and it was really really active after that point.
Yeah,
And
that whole weekend was very active
That
for
sounds like
us.
fun.
We didn't
Fun.
have to even leave the yard, is what was great. And
That's
this
fun.
time,
again, that's another place you don't have to do anything
Yeah.
no,
too much. I think if you go out in the woods, you just push them off further away because they coming right up to the edge of things, looking at us and
Yeah.
what they look at what he's doing and
Have them come to
everybody
you.
else.
Why hike?
yes,
Just have
right.
them come to
We
you.
went out there in the nighttime, and I don't know if we didn't hurt ourselves at night or helped us. It was a nice little hike, but it was I don't know if it didn't push them back. Maybe I don't know.
That was the
Uh,
first night. That was the one time when Jody and all of us went out. But after that, we don't go out. We just go sit in his yard and camp and visit, cook, eat, hang out.
Yeah.
Um,
we
we
go
Uh,
spent
out
any
there in
time
daytime
during there.
sometimes, Miss Phyllis.
Yeah, they get some stuff.
She went out this last time. Her and Angie did at night and sit
Yeah.
out there. And what all y'all do down there, Pat? When y'all sit?
Well, let me answer Phyllis's question. No, I think Stephen went down after us, and he got some stuff in the evening, right before dark. He got some screams and howls, but during the day, it's just like anybody else's yard. But at night, um, it becomes a whole different world,
yeah.
apparently. But
Mhm.
that was um, but Angie, when she saw that, and she got a very good visual. Like I said, we didn't even know we had it, and I just happened to have the laptop with us, and it was all by accident by catching what we caught, what Bud caught. He wasn't he didn't even think he even caught anything. He was just trying
The
to follow
next
the
day
sound.
before he even checked it.
Yeah, they checked it, and I said, "Well, I got the laptop inside. Let's see what we got," and found that. But Angie she had that big adrenaline dump, all of it, and
Yeah.
we got it all on film. That I'm asking her questions immediately right after, you know, and it was something because, you know, Angie works in a prison. You don't rattle her too much, you know.
No.
You don't rattle her too much, and she was kind of rattled on that one.
Mhm.
She still it still goes through her mind.
Yeah.
But Angie and I went out. We decided to like do an experiment. Remember how I had talked to you the music and stuff? We were going to play a few things, and I wanted to try the culling. Culling, is that how it's
Yes.
pronounced?
Yeah.
Okay, with
That's what it was.
which I mentioned to you is the Swedish cow calling,
Yes.
and I want to get Jody to do it. Is what I'd love to do
Oh, cool.
out there and her do it live.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I
See what kind
decided,
of
I said,
response she gets. Yeah.
right, because of the pitch and the vibration and
Yeah.
the hertz and all that. Because,
Right.
like I said, Jody has studied the human voice. She knows what can be mimicked, what can't
Yeah.
be mimicked, and things like that.
Yeah.
She knows a lot about the anatomy,
Okay.
and and she's got the vocal range to do it,
Yeah.
and the pitch and things like that. I have noticed that they seem to like a higher pitch because we did try that one.
Yes.
But we did Angie and I. Jody couldn't make this trip, but Angie and I decided to go out in about 200 yards away. And there's this circle there. Um, and they mowed for us because snakes could come up in there and everything. It was
Yeah.
down the logging road down there. We wanted to go out by ourselves and record ourselves, and I wanted us to sit back to back. This way it's a little bit safer for
Yes.
us
Yes.
and things like that. And we both had thermals,
Mm-hmm.
and we both took thermals, took a recorder, we also took a tri-field meter, which I have a tri-field meter, and I've had that go off a few times
Okay.
with the radio frequency is
You
all
had
I
a
put
bunch
it
this
on.
time, didn't you?
We had a bunch. Every time we spoke or anything like that, every time I spoke or something, that the RF meter would go off. And I got it on the audio recorder.
Interesting.
Well, we had a recorder sitting next to us, a video recorder, and we were trying to film ourselves and out there singing toe to toe through. Yeah, exactly. But we were trying to do. Michael, look up the Swedish cow calling. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And what she started out with that. So what we did is we had the camera. It didn't come up real good. And so we kind of X'd that. Now I've left a couple of those recordings back at home there in Louisiana, and I haven't been able to listen to those yet. But there's a lot of the RF meter going off to that. But we're sitting there and we're going to talk to them. We're going to try a different approach or whatever that works. And we decided we're going to do the cattle cow calling. She turned that on, and we immediately got a grunt. We had 2 grunts. And she goes, "Did you hear that?" I said, "Wasn't that a grunt?" She said, "Yes." Then we heard it again, and she shut it off. She said, "I don't think they like that," or whatever. I said,
Yeah.
"Well, if you're not comfortable in doing that, then don't do it. If you're not comfortable." I was all for it, but if she wasn't comfortable, I didn't want her to do anything she wasn't comfortable with. So we kind of X'd that, and we sat there and we just kind of like tried to talk to them or move them in or things. We did hear movement around us. It was hard to get anything like on a thermal because it's so thick back in there,
Yeah.
the woods and everything else. But when we went to leave to move the recorder, we did get a growl when we went to leave. So we tried that. I got audio. I got to finish listening to it. But every time we had talked, when I talked and spoke, to come a little closer, trying to get them to come in closer, that the RF meter would go off. You could hear it buzz.
Wow.
I did get that. And like I said, there might be more on it. I did get some, that first night. I only got the first night recording with me. And we did get some, I did get some moaning at a distance, which I sent that to you. You can't play it on the air, it's too far away.
Yeah. You
But you can
can't
hear it,
hardly- Yeah.
but you can make it out. We did get that, and that's kind of about it. That's
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I posted a link to the Kulning. It's Kulning.
yes, Culning, yes.
Yeah, it's a Swedish cow calling, and it's beautiful.
It's
I've been
ancient
following.
too.
It is. I've been following the lady on YouTube that
Yes.
does it for quite a while, and it's beautiful.
Yes, I'm interested in trying that, Mary. If you get a chance and you try that, let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm real interested in that. I think you could get something off of that. It's soothing too.
It is. Yeah.
It's not aggressive.
No, no, it's very peaceful, and
Yes.
the cows. She calls the cows in. It's an ancient way that the old
Mhm.
farmers used to call the cattle in at nighttime, and yeah, it's
I'm
very
interested.
beautiful.
I'm interested in pursuing that.
Yeah, yeah. I
I want
used
to
to
do
be a
some stuff
singer,
with
but
that.
I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't have the breath for it anymore.
No, but Jody could. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna try and encourage her to try and do some of that. I think
yeah.
that would be kind of neat. I
Oh,
think that'd be next trip to Flat Rocks. I
okay.
think I'm gonna try and
Make
work on her on that
make
one.
sure you record it.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. Wait, yeah, because at Flat Rocks, when she did those calls, we had it, I did record it on audio as well as it was all recorded on video too.
Okay.
So,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Yes.
it's all on video as well. So it's
Yeah,
very interesting.
good.
It's kind of creepy too to hear the callbacks, and to hear
Yeah.
her calling out, but that's kind of how a lot of them sound there. And
Yeah.
I've heard the high pitched screams, but I've got the low pitched kind of moaning on this trip
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
some reason. So I don't know.
Yeah. I was just recently sent some vocals, but they're both low. One of them is like a low moaning,
Yeah.
and another one is a whoop, but it's very low, not powerful. And
Hmm.
I'm not sure where these were taken. They were just sent to me, but yeah, that's what they'll do. Some places, maybe who knows? Who knows the reason why? Uh, the different meanings of whatever calls.
Right. So we get a little bit closer, but yet a little bit further away.
Yep.
Every time. But we're starting to get a little more answers to our questions.
Yeah.
Just a
Well,
little bit at a time.
yeah, like we were talking earlier, the more you go out, the more you experience them, the more that you learn, and it's every
Hmm.
single time you learn something.
Right, Joe? That's what we
Mhm.
do. I have an amazing partner
Yeah.
and so does
We
Angie
gotta get back
with
busy with it.
Bud.
Get
And
back to it.
and the thing is we're able to do, us ladies are able to kind of
Yeah.
take a little bit more risk
Yes.
because we feel a little bit more comfortable. Um,
Right.
because we have Bud and Joe with us, and they're
Yeah.
great bait, and they're great bait too. So you know,
Y'all are great, mate. I
so he was a sleeping camper the one time. So my experiences and Joe's, we've experienced
It's
a
just a
lot
little bitty,
together.
bitty drop in the bucket we talked about tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
a lot more to it.
just a
Yeah.
little bit. We have a whole lot more, but like I said,
Yeah.
I'd like to get some audio up. You know,
Yeah.
I needed to build up some to be able to
Mhm.
put some up.
Well,
Um,
whenever you do, make sure you share it on my group.
oh, I
And
will, but um, if people could get it out into the world of audio, I think I
yes,
found my niche. Not so much video.
yeah,
I'm not I'm not I'm not that committed with video, but
yeah,
audio, I got to have the audio
yeah.
recorder out. You learn a lot. Oh, you
Oh,
learn so much.
you really do. And there's so many channels, both
Hmm.
on SoundCloud and on YouTube. Um, YouTube, you have to watch a bit, but I think on
Hmm.
SoundCloud, you get the more serious researchers on there with their
Yes.
audio. But if anyone's interested, I can probably make a little list of what good channels, at least that I listen to on SoundCloud, and uh, and then on YouTube also, uh, reliable ones.
Right. Like I said, her name, but it went under one word and it was in lowercase and it was called Bigfoot Research, just
Okay.
all one word. And she was amazing, amazing, amazing. And like I said, I would like to pay homage to her
Yeah.
and kind of follow that. I like I said, I like her platform on how she did it, and I would like to do something like that.
Well, good.
Is where I'm headed to with this. And
Good.
like I said, I'm getting older, and you can't get it. I can't go walk out into the woods like I used to
Yeah.
for miles and miles.
Yeah.
And the recorder, and a lot of times
Yeah.
you don't have to do that. They'll come into you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the
Mhm.
recorder is my way of my research and contributing, and maybe answering some of my questions.
I try to take her to the right places that we can find
Yes,
something
Yeah.
and
very
get
supportive.
out and walk. And if she ain't able to, I walk around a lot of clear cuts and things. If I got need to check it out around the fire lanes and first one thing or another and get some exercise. And sometimes we find stuff. Sometimes this recorder does what whatever we find might be on the recorder. But
Yep.
Yeah,
we
I
get out
deal
and
with
do a little bit.
sciatica, so I deal with
Oh,
being on concrete floors for years,
yeah. Yeah.
um, and then age is kind of getting to me, so I can't walk out like I used to.
Yeah. No,
But
I know what you
I'm able
mean.
to do this and still enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
know what you mean. I've got my injured leg. Yeah,
Right,
I'd stepped in a groundhog hole 20, almost 25 years ago, and
right,
that kind of ended that. Um,
right.
but no, I loved to hike in the woods, and I miss that so much.
Me too.
But tell you what, guys, we are a quarter to 10, and Joe keeps yawning. He's been yawning
Mhm.
through this.
He's been up many hours. He's been hunting.
I
Okay.
have been. I'm just sleepy tonight a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
You
an
know,
hour different than us too.
yeah, I know.
Y'all
It's
later than me though, really.
Right.
it's
We
what,
are.
8:45 for you?
Yep,
Yes.
Yeah.
right at it.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we'll say
Enjoyed it.
goodnight, and thank you so much for
Thank you
joining.
for having us on.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Miss y'all.
See
I
y'all
already
next
met a
time
lot of
wherever
them.
we go. Hopefully we'll be seeing y'all pretty soon. Hopefully.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for
Well,
having
Maybe we'll
us,
get
Mary.
to, maybe we'll make it up toward LBL this time or somewhere.
oh, I hope so. Well, no matter what, I'll be
Hey, well,
there.
if that don't happen, we might need to make our own little trip together up there.
Yep.
Well, what I'd like to do is go up to Pennsylvania. You haven't been up there, Joe. It's beautiful.
No, I
Yeah.
haven't. I've never
I'd
been to
love maybe
Ohio no further than Cincinnati.
that's a
I've got
trip
some
we
good
need to make.
spots. I've got some real good spots to take you to. So come on
That
up.
would be awesome. I would love that. I would love it.
So we
That
might
may
not
be
talk
in the
about a little
works.
bit of that stuff then.
We have talked about it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
All right, guys. I'm going to say good night to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you next Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And you guys have a great evening. Love you. God bless. And Monkey Wench out.